the engine of the business is your sales and marketing, but the capital is the gas for that engine.
And now, it's time once again for the show that gives glorious voice to 25 million business owners across the fruited plain. Radio Free Enterprise with Frank Felker.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Dude Walker. Yes, indeed, I am Frank Felker. Welcome back to Radio Free Enterprise. My guest today is Mr. Michael England, president of River Capital Group in Stafford, Virginia. Michael England, welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's great to be on.
What we're going to be talking about today is credit, specifically business credit, why it's so important, and what you can do to build up your company's ability to borrow. The third of the 6 M's in my book, Unlocking the M Cube, is money. Access to capital is critical. It's a critical success factor when you're starting your business, growing your business, running your business. You can't afford to run into a cash flow crunch. It can literally kill your business. Even though you've got sales going on, accounts receivable, everything else, it can honestly cause you to close your doors. And I'm not a proponent of borrowing too much. I've over-leveraged myself in the past, but I do know that the right mix of vendor credit, equipment financing, lines of credit with banks, it's all very important if you want to avoid cash flow problems. That's why I've invited Mr. England to share some knowledge with us today. Michael, let's start with this. Why should a business owner even care about business credit? What's the big deal?
Well, business credit is much akin to personal credit, or they kind of use the same matrices to say, hey, either you have good credit or bad credit. With business credit, one of the benefits of that is you're separating your own business from your own personal credit. So that way, if you have poor credit, but you can establish good credit with your business. It also helps to double your borrowing power. So if you're just solely using your own social security number to secure loans, well, with business credit, we can oftentimes double or triple the borrowing power that you get. And business credit is gained much quicker than what you can through your own personal credit. So those are just some of the main reasons why you want to have business credit.
You know, something you just said there made me think of, and you tell me if I'm wrong, a potential additional benefit is you're not loading up more debt on your personal credit report.
Exactly. So a large part of businesses is you want to separate your own personal from your business. The tax accountants talk to that all day long. But with the business credit, you're going off of what your business can borrow. A lot of the big companies that are out there, they don't use their own personal credit to just secure it, and then you're not personally liable for it if the company goes south.
Yeah, and that's a big, big deal. What happens to me if I don't have it?
Well, if you don't have it, you're going to be, as you just mentioned, coming against that cash flow crunch. Whether it's to expand your business, whether it's to buy a new building, whether it's to get new equipment. If you don't have access to capital, you're essentially stuck for that. What I often say is the engine of the business is your sales and marketing, but the capital is the gas for that engine.
I like that. You know, I think that's better. I usually say it's like the lifeblood, but people just kind of look at me with a hazy look on their eyes. They don't really seem to know what that means. But the gas for the engine, I like that. Yeah, the sales are the engine. But if you don't have that cash, you're not going to keep that engine running for very long. I like that. Thanks for sharing that. I'll be happy to steal that line from you from now on.
You got it.
Okay, so you clearly, or apparently, help businesses get business credit, build their business credit. What kinds of businesses do you work with?
Well, I work with all types of businesses. Whether it's a government contractor that's starting out and trying to establish themselves, the federal government they demand that you have a DUNS number and that you have a Dun & Bradstreet number, and that you are able to have good credit to obtain good credit. I work with mechanic shops, mom and pop shops. I've done a dance studio. There's a lot of real estate, commercial real estate is all dependent upon that business credit.
Excellent. And I think probably a great way for us to understand how you help them is If you could just give us a couple of case studies of, dance studio, mechanic shop, what have you. Let's start with what the problem was they were experiencing, how they happened to reach out to you, and then how you were able to solve their problem, and what then life looked like afterwards.
Well, let's start off with that dance studio. So the dance studio has been in business for a few years. They were renting out a space, but they wanted to have their own studio. So she had excellent personal credit. She didn't have any assets, and her cash flow was okay. She went to a number of banks, 3 banks. They all turned her down, saying, because you don't have all of our criteria, we're not going to lend to you. Talking about that, just the other day, I was talking to a banker, and he says, literally, they can only, out of 50 loans that come through them, they will only fund 3 of them.
Wow.
Business credit is one of those major things. So what I helped her do is I helped her to get business credit by having certain trade lines and revolving credit, and lines of credit. Once we've done that, that was 60% of all the financing that she need that in order to expand. And then since then, we've been able to grow, and her cash flow has increased dramatically because of all this. So that's one of the example.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you said that's what we did initially, and then over time, additional benefits accrued. Is
Exactly.
this an overtime game?
So this is one of the hardest things. Is most lenders, they will not lend to you if your business is less than 2 years. So we help them in the very beginning to establish their credit, so that at the 6-month mark, the year mark, the 18-month and 2-year marks, we are able to get them more and more financing. So I get phone calls late at night saying, "Hey, I need financing. I need $1 million." And we look at the way that they're situated. I could maybe give them $100,000, $200,000. But if we help them build up the credit now, then over time, they can come back to me, and it'd be that much easier to get them that financing.
That makes a lot of sense. Great. I'm sorry to have interrupted you. If you would, please go on with some more case studies.
Yes. So a couple of other ones that we've helped is our government contractors, with them trying to get into this field of providing goods or services to the government. What we have able to do, there was one in particular, the owner had horrible credit. He just went through a divorce. His ex-wife took him for a lot of his money. His own personal credit crashed. All of his lines of credit were taken down. So we then helped him with his business credit, and over the period of 6 months, we were able to build that up quite nicely, so that way he could rely on his business credit and not on his own personal one, which put him in a position to go after a couple of prime contracts for the federal government. Something like that was really beneficial, and it created to millions of dollars that he was then able to make.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing again that occurs to me as you're talking, is that this business credit and then the ability to generate additional sales because of it means that if you are having problems with your personal credit or your personal income, it's going to have a big beneficial impact on that rising tide is going to lift all boats.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And how about the mechanic shop?
So with the mechanic shop, they were simply just on a cash flow crunch. They went into a few different banks themselves, because they didn't have the cash flow or the credit that the bank needed for their guidelines. They said, "Thanks for coming in. We can't help you out." They then reached out to me, so I was able to get them some immediate funding up front, and then over the course of the last 9 months, help him to increase his credit. So now he has a line of credit that he can pull on to buy supplies. And then the other thing is we've helped him to revamp his billing so that he was then able to pull in more money from that. So you take that together, you added in his own business credit, which he didn't have any at the beginning. He didn't even know what it was in the initial stages. And then as we slowly corrected it, he's been able to expand it, his business, and offer more services through his mechanic shop.
Interesting. So you said you helped him with his billing. Did this accelerate the collection of his accounts receivable?
Yes, it did. Uh, since he had a bunch of accounts receivables that were outstanding of more than 60, 90 days, we helped to clear that up immediately, and then help him to reassess it. So we made him cash flow positive in that instance.
So do sometimes then your services go beyond helping people build their credit and connect them with capital sources in
Oh, yes.
areas like this?
So that business credit is just something that I've seen a lot of businesses have little to no understanding about. And then to follow on with that, I have a lot of financial services that I can help with getting businesses either traditional or non-traditional lending so that they can take that next step themselves.
Hmm. But I mean, things like helping somebody do a better job collecting and getting their bookkeeping straightened out. It didn't occur to me that this is something where you could help people as well.
Oh, yes. This is something that I do with a lot of medical facilities,
Hmm.
doctor shops, but veterinarians. This is where I help people with doing educational services and counseling services. We can do a lot with that, and also going into some of your logistics, oil and gas, government contracting. Once again, these are all different ways that I can help them on the billing side, on the account receivable side, to clear it up and make and get that money so that they can then grow their business.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned just a minute ago that you help connect people with traditional and non-traditional capital sources.
Yes.
It may seem obvious, but if you would, let's start with defining what a traditional capital source. What do you refer to as a traditional source of capital?
So the traditional ones is what most people think about going down to the local bank. The local bank, they will have a number of products designed for businesses, either a conventional business loan or an SBA loan.
Hmm.
They may also provide some lines of credit that they can also help with the businesses, but that's pretty much the large extent what the majority of the banks would be able to offer. So I can help them set it up with that. I have relationships with numerous banks with the vice presidents of SBA lending, so I can help them get that SBA loan done faster, quicker, and oftentimes less than what they would at the local branch.
Okay. Now, that, as you say, is what people think of when they think of traditional lending, and it's more limited, both in terms of the number of products available and in terms of how many people qualify for it.
Yes.
So,
So
what kinds of things are we looking at in terms of non-traditional capital sources that you can connect business owners with?
so the non-traditional, there's a lot with real estate investing, commercial real estate that we have the non-traditional lending that's available from the private lenders. We also have other sources that we can rely on, such as account receivable financing, purchase order financing. All those are going to be played into it. We have equipment leasing, equipment financing, all those different ones that we can help provide people that money to get going.
And it sounds as though the building up your business credit would, well, tell me if I'm right, would it help you in both of these arenas? In other words, make you more likely to qualify for either traditional or non-traditional capital?
Oh, most definitely. According to the statistics that the SBA's put out, 80% of people who apply for a loan get turned down. Business loans get turned down.
Mm.
As I made mention earlier, in this interview, that one of the bankers I just talked to last week, he was saying that every 50 loans that come into their branch, he can only do 3 of them. The large reason why is people don't have the business credit, and they're not lender compliant, which goes back into being having your business credit. So
Mm.
being lender compliant, there's about 20 different things that a business needs to have in line in order just to qualify for that funding.
Great. Well, let's go right into that. What types of things can just about any business owner do that, with the caveat that some of these things will take time in order to impact your credit rating. So all the better reason to do them today. Uh,
Exactly.
what are you say there's 20 things that help your compliance. Tell me about a few of them. What can we do quickly and easily that will help us?
Well, first of all, make sure that your entity is set up correctly with your local county and state records.
You mean your business entity?
Yes. So making sure that you're an LLC, an LLP, a C Corp, make sure that it's set up correctly and it's the same with every single type of information that you put out there, that it's always the same information. So, with myself, I'm River Capital Group, LLC. I can't make sure that I can't put down River Capital or leave something out so every single thing I put down, my business entity is the same name across all of it. So that's
okay.
the first
So
thing.
it sounds like, excuse me, that you're talking about two different things. One is that it should be created correctly and established correctly in your local area. But then the second thing is that you always refer to it by the same name everywhere you talk about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The second thing is make sure that you have your EIN number. The next thing is make sure that you have a bank account. A lot of the lenders won't consider you in business until you have your own business bank account.
Interesting.
Another thing is make sure that you have all the correct licenses in order to be working in whatever sphere that your business is operating in.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I'm starting to see a lot that's coming out is making sure that your business has an actual physical address away from your own home. There's an inherent risk that lenders are seeing that if it's a home business, that it's much more likely to default than either if it has a physical location. So having a physical location is another way.
Is this true even if you have like a physical address at a co-working facility?
See, and that's what a lot of businesses are going towards, is having the co-working or virtual offices. That's an actual physical business address. So when a lender types in your address, they say, yes, this is an actual physical business location.
Interesting.
So, and that's just one ways that you can save a lot of money, is to have a virtual office or a co-workspace office.
And, so many of these things, it's easy to say you should have that. You should have already done that as far as, bank account and EIN number and so many of those things. But, one thing, for example, it's funny when you said the importance of a bank account. A lot of people, they just haven't separated their business from their personal life, even in their own consciousness. So the idea of taking deposits into their own bank account and writing checks out of it and using their own credit card, they're just like, whatever. But clearly it's hurting them in a variety of ways, not the least of which is their business credit.
Yeah, the business credit, and then they'll put in their own bank account as a liability against it. So if they get sued, that bank account is now open for them to go after.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, having a physical space, like I use a co-working facility, and, you can spend several $100s a month, however much you'd like, depending on where the facility is and what benefits you get from it. But it's just such a difference in terms of professionalism and flexibility. It never really occurred to me, however, that it was helping me from a business credit standpoint.
Yes. Another thing is making sure that you're not using your own personal cell phone number as your business phone number. Have an actual business number. That's another crucial element, and make sure that phone number is registered with a 411 directory. Along with that is making sure that you have your website. Make sure it's an active website. I've heard of some lenders that say, all right, well, we can't find your presence online. We don't know if you exist or don't exist. The same thing with emails. A lot of people are using a Gmail or Hotmail.com for the business outside. You got to have a business email that you can be directed it to.
That's amazing. I never would have thought that something like my email address or how fresh my website is could impact my business credit rating.
Yep. So right now, there's about 50% of all businesses, they still do not have a website. And people don't go to the yellow pages anymore. They go to Google to try to find the business. If you're not there, you're not found. You're losing business.
So if you're not in virtual space, you really don't exist.
You don't exist.
What a world we're living in. Well, it's good to know, though. It's important to know. We could argue whether that is right or wrong, but it is the correct situation if you're interested in building your business credit. Now, I
Yes.
know, you're talking about these 20 things that you can do. You guys at River Capital Group have actually created an online tool that makes it easy for people to do these things and get it done quickly. Tell us about that.
Yes. So, as I said, I was starting to see a trend over and over again that as I was trying to help a business with a business with the funding, that the business credit was lacking. So we've designed a website. It's rivercg.net. And there at rivercg.net, you can go in there and there's a whole wealth of information about what business credit is. What do you need to do to become fundable? What do you need to do to become bankable? What do you need to do to become qualified? All three of those things are three different matters: to become qualified, fundable, and bankable. Additionally, as you register your business with it, they will give you a dashboard to show you exactly what your business credit health is and what you need to do to improve this. So that way, really, if you come to me, which I would like, or if you go back to your bank, then that point you'd be fundable and bankable, so that way you can get the financing you need for your company. And this is a free service to show you exactly where it stands, where your business credit stands, and what you need to do to improve it.
That's amazing. And with your agreement to it, and it'll have to be at some point in the future, I can see where I would like to walk through that website with you, doing sort of a video podcast with a screen share, so you could show me how to do that. We obviously don't have time to get into too much detail here on this episode, but how difficult is it? I mean, is it just as easy as checking a few check boxes? What kind of information should we be prepared to enter into this form?
Well, first of all, it's going to be going over those 20 compliant items that we did.
Hmm.
I talked about the majority of them. And it's going to kind of give you a checkbox. Yes, you have this is compliant. This item's compliant. You have a web mail, a website, an email. You've been registered with all the business credit bureaus. And then it kind of goes on to say, I'm like, okay, based off of this is what you need to do. So those are going to be the things that they're going to be looking for. Your business entity, it being registered, and it helps you to make sure that it will check to see if it's a physical business location. Another thing is, do you have a business plan? A lot of the lenders are going to be asking for that business plan. If you don't have a business plan, I just came across a business this other day. That was one of the main reasons why he was denied a loan from a bank was, well, one, he had poor personal credit and no business credit, and two, he didn't have a business plan. The bank didn't want to touch them.
Amazing. So do you think that that's just like a on-off switch for them, whether the business plan exists, or is it they feel as though if you haven't written a business plan, you're not serious?
You're not serious. Because of all that, it helps to show the bank exactly what you're trying to do. And this is another thing that my website can help do is, if you don't have any of those things, it can directly help you to get each one of those items corrected right there on the spot.
Give me an example. What sort of things can it help you correct, and how does it do that?
Well, let's say in an email. If you don't have a business email, we can help you set up with a business email right there. The other nice thing about it is we then go for a trade line, so a reportable vendor trade line to all the business bureaus. So that way you're starting to accrue business credit.
Mm.
Such as your business location, right? If you're paying rent, well, right now that rent is not getting you any helping you build business credit. But we have a system in there that say, hey, put in your business info, your business rent information, and then we can help that translate that into a trade line that reports back to all the business credit bureaus. So you're establishing your business. If you don't have a phone system, we can help you set that up. If you don't have a CRM system, or a phone system, we can help you set that up right there on that spot to make sure. The same thing with the business plan and making sure that your entity is correct.
That's great. So you can kind of hold our hand through these 20 steps and help facilitate the building of that business credit.
Exactly. This would take to get registered. Only takes just a couple of minutes to do. To get, if you needed all these things, it maybe take you an hour to get compliant with these 20 items.
And how much does this cost?
Well, just to see what your business credit health is, that's all free. To help you to get established, it's minimal amounts. $20 to set up an email. Or $50 for a website creation, and then that's the way that you can make sure that it's all compliant. So very minimal. We have several packages out there. For new businesses, that would be $299 a month, going up to $599 if you're a full business enterprise.
And did you say there's some level of this also that's at no charge?
Yes. Now, the stuff that's at no charge is to make sure that all your things, you see exactly what your credit health is and what you need to do to improve that. That's all free.
Okay, so filling out, answering the questions and filling out the form, there's no charge for that.
Nope.
Great. And that'll show you where you are. And then you can decide for yourself whether you want to take any further action or make any further investment.
Exactly.
And is this available to anyone? Anyone can go to rivercg.net and just start, filling out the form?
Yes, this is open to all businesses or those who want to get into business. Instead of traveling to 20 different places to get your business started, it's a one-stop shop, and you can get all situated right there from the beginning, either day one in business or been around for 10 decades.
I bet there's a lot of, I could think of family businesses that I've known and others that they might have been around for 10 decades and they still don't have a business bank account.
Yep.
So yeah, I could see where that can help just about anybody. And are there, little educational resources in there? Is there anything I can learn while I'm in there?
Oh, that's one of the nice things about it. Going back to a study that the SBA did about 3 years ago, 90% of business owners have little to no idea of what business credit is and how it operates. So 90% of all businesses. So with that, there's a whole slew of educational materials on those ebooks that are on there, those videos that are on there, and there's a portion that will pop up that will kind of tell you what to do on each page and the importance of it. So there's a whole wealth of information that one can glean from that.
That's great. I applaud you for doing that. That's the generous educator and sincere advocate for the success of their audience at play.
Yes.
And I just think that that's the best possible way to help people and initiate and nurture business relationships. And I'm so glad I asked you that question, because that's, just like what you're doing right now, Michael, helping people understand, number one, why it's so critical to build your business credit. And then number two, how you can do something about it. That's where the real value lies.
And that's another thing is business owners, they're really specialized in what they do. And I've met so many really top-notch people that's trying to excel the business. Do they know everything about financing? No. Do they know anything about business credit? No. And this is how come there's experts out there in order to, such as myself and you, to help them to overcome and become better.
Now, if somebody wanted to speak to you personally and directly, is that something they could do? Could they call you and ask you, can you help them with the financing problem they're running into?
Yes. So you can contact me directly. Our work phone number is 540-318-5700. I just can sit down with the business and just consult with them and what they're trying to do. There's no pressure, and then we can develop a game plan and what best suits them. There's some businesses that I've given all this information and they've gone to find the funding elsewhere, which is great. Or you can come back with me, and hopefully I can provide that top-notch service and the funding for them to take the next step in business.
That's great. And you said it was 540-318, and what was the rest?
5700.
5700.
5700.
540-318-5700. I'll also put that phone number in the show notes page for this episode. Now, when they do call you, then what happens? I mean, is this, information gathering? What can they expect as far as how long the call will take and what's going to happen?
Some of the times we can be on the phone for just a minute or two, just get a brief understanding. I've had other people call me up, and it's taken. They want to discuss the full situation. There's some financing that I can get to them in as little as 24 to 48 hours.
Wow.
Those other financing I can get in 7 to 10 business days. And then there's some other ones that take anywhere from 1 month to 6 months to get financing. Those are usually the more complicated deals, mergers or real estate transactions, commercial real estate transactions that take the longer time. But yeah.
If somebody who just had a question or was just trying to find out whether you could help them or not.
Yes. And that's another thing that I often take phone calls thinking, hey, this is the situation I'm in. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. I just did this the other day for a manufacturer that presents award types of items. They were had 4 or 5 things going on at the same time. They just reached out and said, hey, can you help me? And sure enough, we found a couple of different ways that we could help them excel.
That's the funny thing also. I'd be willing to bet, because of your specialized knowledge, people may come to you and say, hey, I'm just going to say, equipment financing. And then once you dig down a little bit, you'll say, yeah, you could get equipment financing, but if you did this instead, you'd get your equipment, plus you'd have some extra cash left over, plus you'd have a lower interest rate, plus,
Exactly.
I believe your expertise is invaluable to your clients.
Yes. And this is the other thing. People can only ask for what they know what to ask for.
Sure.
So there's been multiple times in my life where they didn't know that there was extra types of financing out there in order to help them to overcome those things. So that's one of the things. This going back to that dance studio up in that when they came to me, they asked me for a very specific product.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't qualify for that. So we had to look at other alternative means in order to help them get that financing.
That's great stuff. Well, Michael England, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks again to Michael England, and thank you for listening.
You can't seem to turn a profit? Is that what's eating you, Sparky? Well, you've come to the right place. Radio Free Enterprise.